chain.
All right, welcome back to the show. Tonight's broadcast brought to you by Pampered Paw Gifts. Treats for dogs, cats, and people that love them. Go to pamperedpawgifts.com, browse their inventory, and treat your pet today. Also, tonight's phone line is brought to you by Ring Central, who's responsible for giving us our phone line. You can call us at 1-866-225-5401. That's 1-866-CALL-401. If you want to be part of the show. This whole segment's wide open. Call in if you want. Let's hear you. I know you're out there. I know you're listening. You got a lot of folks out there listening. Let's go over and help out Rick, because that would be cool. A lot of things happening in the news right now, but one thing I want to address, I was listening to my favorite sports show today. It's on the local radio show here when I'm out driving around doing my day job, and it's Jay Moore Sports. If you guys are listeners of Jay Moore Sports, he's got a great show. I don't agree with him completely on all our politics, but as a sports show, it's probably one of the best ones out there. But anyway, we were talking about Richard Sams. If you don't know who Richard Sams is, Richard Sams was the SEC Defensive Lineman of the Year. He had a bunch of sacks, had a great senior year playing for Missouri. And when he went to the draft, he got taken in the 7th round. I mean, all 32 teams passed him over 7 times. He got taken in the very last part of the 7th round. You might ask yourself, why did that happen? Why would somebody that's so good be taken so far down the draft? I mean, Richard Sams was all over the place. He was all over the timelines and ESPN and top 10 plays of the day. I mean, the guy's an animal. Everybody in the SEC knew who Richard Sams was. But apparently, why he dropped so far in the draft and what happened is he came out as being homosexual. Now, everybody's had their opinions about this, and of course, no one's immune. Coach Tony Dungy came on ESPN and said that he would not have drafted Richard Sams because of the distraction on the team. Well, here's my take on this. This is my opinion, and if you have your opinion, you can tweet me at Mike Allen at tired_Lions_fan, or hit me up on Facebook, or give us a call, 1-866-CALL-401, 1-866-255-5401. Give me your take on it. Here's mine. Now, I don't know Richard Sams personally. I'm not a follower of Missouri football. I'm a Michigan fan. I will tell you this, however. If you're a really good football player, I don't care what you do outside of the locker room on your own time with whoever you want. I don't care. And here's the thing. People are getting all bent out of shape about this. Of course, the propaganda machine, the press, is just absolutely having a field day with it. And, of course, as Richard Sams is concerned, he got picked up by St. Louis Rams, I believe. So he's the St. Louis Rams defensive lineman. He's trying to make a spot on the roster. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know him personally. I don't know. I can't read his character and integrity, which has nothing to do with the person's sexuality, in my opinion. Do I believe that you're born homosexual? No, but I believe it's. But I do believe that being homosexual, in and of itself, isn't a big deal. It really isn't. I was in the military for 10 years. I served with homosexuals, and I knew they were homosexual. I don't care. I was a field artilleryman. If you can pick up that shell and carry it from gun to gun and load up my ammo carrier and make sure everything's straight, and as a gunnery sergeant, as a gun sergeant, a gun chief, if I shot if I'm ready to shoot downrange, I want you up and ready to go. And if you could do all that, what you did on your off time, on the weekends, with whoever you wanted to, I didn't care. I just didn't care. I didn't report him. I didn't say anything about it. But what Richard Sams has done, I believe, is a brilliant campaign to put himself in a position of catch-22. Not him personally, but whoever drafts him. Because whoever drafts Michael Sams, whoever drafts him, Richard Sams, Michael Sams, Richard Sams, whoever drafts him, the Sams guy, how are you going to cut him? How are you going to... Because if you cut him and he doesn't make the roster, and he doesn't make your team, the first thing the propagandist press is going to jump all over is that you didn't let him on your team because he's gay. Not that he wasn't as good as everybody else on the team, which he probably is. I'm not saying he isn't, but let's say he doesn't make the team. Let's say there's 5 other guys that make the roster that are better than Sam's. On paper, on an unbiased assessment of ability, these 5 guys that they pick to be on the defensive line, in the coach's mind, will give their team a better chance of winning. And Sams gets cut. Well, if Sams gets cut, forget about it. That team is dirt. They're anti-gay charges. They're going to go after the ownership. They're going to go after the coaches. They're going to be vilified in the press. Fisher, St. Louis coach, Jeff Fisher, who's already established himself as probably one of the top coaches in the NFL, will be vilified, and the questions will be asked. Did you let Michael Sams go because he's gay? And they're going to have to answer. And they're going to have to justify letting him go. Now, if he makes the team, this is all moot. And he very well might. I mean, you don't go... the SEC is a good conference. And if you're the absolute best defensive lineman in the SEC, then it stands to reason that you probably are not going to have a hard time getting onto a football team, an NFL football team. And for all intents and purposes, I believe that Sams went through all the... I was calling him Richard, wasn't I? Michael Sam... Is it Michael? Richard. Somebody tell me. Somebody tweet me. Sams is his last name. I forgot to write down his first name. So tell me, when do you guys do the research? When do you listeners tweet me? Anyway, Sams has gone through all the preliminaries. He went through the combine. He was obviously drafted by a team, even though the team passed him over 6 times before they drafted him. But you're not going to be able to be that guy that doesn't let him play. You can't. You're not going to be able to be that guy that cuts him. So I thought, as a marketing strategy, again, not knowing Sams at all, not knowing the guy personally, never having a conversation with him, from the outside looking in, just looks like a way to solidify yourself on a team that you go to. And he's gay. You know, his boyfriend was there with him when he got drafted and gave him a big hug and a kiss on TV. And of course, nobody else that got picked in the 7th round had an ESPN TV camera there, but he did. So it's already a media circus. Now here's where I have a problem with the press and everybody else that's going to vilify the coaches in the organization that cuts this man if they do. Having a football team is more than having the talent on paper. You can have a very talented team on paper, but but they have to have a certain element. They call it the desirables or tangibles, the unwritten tangible. Well, the tangible of a championship football team, and the one thing that makes a NFL Super Bowl winning champion and separates that team from the other 32 teams, the other 31 teams in the league, is the fact that team has brought all the elements together. They have great chemistry. They have a trust in the coach and his program. They play well together as a unit. They love and respect each other as brothers, and they're highly talented. Case in point, the Seattle Seahawks, probably one of the most talented teams in the NFL. Put it all together, got a Super Bowl out of it. And not only won the Super Bowl, but won it going away. Won it big time. Could they have done that without the chemistry of that team? San Antonio Spurs. On paper, not the best team in the NBA. On paper, that'd be the Miami Heat. That'd be the Oklahoma Thunder. Not the best individuals. If you lined up all the paper, not the best. And you got Tim Duncan. He's like 90 years old. He's old. But as a team, they play together better than all the other 150,000 NBA teams out there. I don't know how many teams they have now. A lot. So much so that they took a Miami team that on paper was superior in every way. Speed, height, agility, you name it. All the tangibles, all the things that you can measure. And this San Antonio team took them to task. And I'm telling you, the conspiracy theory's out right now. They dropped that game in San Antonio so they could bring the trophy back to San Antonio. Listen to me now. Believe me later. They wanted to win the championship in their hometown, not in Miami. Because you don't put a god-awful butt-kicking on your opponent in their court that bad and tell me that you had an off night. I ain't buying it. And that's okay. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I tell you right now, if the first two games were played in Miami, that would have been over in 4. But back to Sam's. Michael Sams is his first name. Back to Sam's. He's basically assured himself a spot. And I have no doubt that he's going to make it. And I hope, Michael, I don't care that you're gay. I don't. I hope that when you go into that team and you've made the roster, that you will put the political correctness and all that aside, and you will humble yourself and be a team player with your fellow team members so that you can bring a championship to St. Louis. They had one. They've been to 2. They're 1-1. They need another one. It's a great organization out there. Jeff Fisher needs a Super Bowl. And I hope that you can understand that it's not all about you being gay, and you can't make it all about you being gay. And I'm telling you right now, don't tell me there wasn't a plan, because if there wasn't a plan, why would you even say anything? Why would you say anything to anyone? Because it's none of our business. As fans, the only business we have is that you win football games, that you help your team win football games. And if you can't do that as a gay man, then you probably weren't going to be able to do it as a straight guy either. But now that the politics are involved, now that there's political correctness, now that you've got groups that are standing behind you, you've got special interest groups, you've got the media frenzy. I'd hate to be that coach that's sitting there looking at my notebooks and all my notes of all the drills that we put all our linemen through, and I've got 7 names, and I got to cut it down to 5, and I got to get rid of 2, and your numbers don't add up. I would not want that guy's job. I mean, I don't want that guy's job. Anyway, coming back after the top of the hour, James Wyer of Meathead Munchies is going to come give us an update on what's going on with him. His YouTube is blowing up, absolutely exploding. He's from out on the West Coast, and he will be coming in to talk to me about his projects and how it's going and how people can get in part of the Meathead Munchie Nation, man. This guy is off the hook. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tonight's broadcast brought to you by Pampered Paw Pets, pamperedpawgifts.com, treats for your dogs, cats, and all the people that love them. Remember, you can call in the show at any time. We break for your calls. 1-866-225-5401. 1-866-225-5401. Brought to you tonight by Ring Central. It's the top of the hour. I'm going to take a little break and refresh